Hello everybody, Glitch Reaper here, aka the original card game for the win. And, yeah, this is gonna be interesting, because we're having a Friday Night Magic at home again. It's, first time after my technical difficulties, so I'm on my new screen. As usual, when it comes to MTG Arena, I can only really do it full screen format, so I'll find out for myself how well this, compresses, decompresses, whatever, in the end when it comes to processing. So, that's gonna be different. Uh, because this thing's like HD complete complete size now. So, there's that. But, as for what this is a Friday Night Magic at Home event that's a Momir's Madness event as well. If you haven't seen Momir's Madness before, how it works, and this is one of those things that would be logistically almost impossible to do in physical format, but here on electronic format, there's ways of doing this. But basically, you get a full 60 card deck of nothing but a balanced set of basic lands. But if you're wondering how in the world would you actually play with that, well, you get this emblem, and it basically gives you a very special ability. You can discard a card and pay X generic mana to get a random creature token out of all the types of creatures there is in MTG Arena at this time, or at the time that you have the Momir match, anyhow. Not mirror match, Momir match. Yeah. I know what I referenced. Anyhow, you can only activate this ability once per turn on your turn. So it's basically played as if it was a sorcery. So you get, it's all about Ultra Luck Challenge here. It's what creatures you get. Now, if you're wondering how do you have any kind of strategy with that, even trying to go with the flow, the answer is simple. You have to pick and choose which lands you want to keep on the field, because you'll be discarding others over time. The reason why you'd want specific colors on the field is mainly to play creature abilities, if any. Because a lot of creatures have activated abilities associated with certain colors, so you're just kind of going with what you can activate, if you can do it. If you wind up with just a bunch of creatures with, like, straight up, like, classic keyword abilities, whatever. But you could also wind up with several that have very specifically activated abilities that you may need to worry about your lands, so there is some interesting things to go on here. So, without further ado, I have to get basically 2 wins to complete the event, and then that'll kind of be that-ish. There's other things kind of going around in terms of news, so if I have time, I might go over some MTG news. But for now, I'm just... that's kind of hilarious. But, yeah, I'm just gonna go in, because this is the Ultra Luck Challenge. Let's just see how it goes, because I know my luck on camera with some things is great, and my luck on camera with some things is terribly bad. So, we'll see how this goes. And because it's the Ultra Luck Challenge, I don't think it's as likely that people will seed. Because there's always that chance that your next turn is something fantastic. Holy moly! I mean, I've got to go with it, but it's just kind of gonna be weird. I will discard planes, thank you. Now you're wondering why did I put 0? Did it not register that? That's very bizarre. Never seen that happen before. I have never seen that happen before. I guess it doesn't register that one, so it's not really doing it absolutely random, as it's not doing it perfectly historic. See, cycling will be impossible because these are only basic lands, so I can't cycle because that has to be done from your hand. what I was trying to do before, and you might not know this because it's a historical thing, is trying to see if it registered converted mana cost 0, and that allowed you to get Ornithopter. Because Ornithopter has an actual 0 mana cost, and it's a creature. And these can be token copies of any creature, so... You see, that's a historic card. Right there. That's Tianali's Skin Shifter. It took me a while to get that card the way I wanted it to. And as you can see, I'm going for the sampler here. I need a forest. That's what I really need. So, let's just ramp it up a bit. Okay, that's going to be interesting. Because this guy's ability is basically useless. I'm gonna attack with him. See how it goes. But yeah, if it does it by converted mana cost out of random, out of creatures that exist within game, then I am wondering very much why it did not have let's go with a swamp. Toss out island. See, he was lucky that he got a flyer, but now I got lucky that I got a flyer. Okay. I get to sacrifice another permanent to get him powered up. And I also draw a card. Still attack with this guy. But yeah, this is just a very luck-driven challenge. But Korvold Faker's King is kind of insane. You know? Let's do this again. There are certain places in the general mana layout that I can kind of call a sweet spot. And 4 and 5 are kind of sweet spots. I will sacrifice a mountain. I will... Oh, that was incredibly convenient. And sacrifice planes. But yeah, that was incredibly lucky. Korvold, I mean, he's a dragon, and he's got this ability where whenever he enters the whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you gotta sack another permanent. But whenever you sacrifice a permanent for any reason, he puts on a +1/+1 counter, and you draw a card. Tianali Shifter is going all out. Okay, do I want to block these? I will block... See, I think this is the one that I want to actually kill. So I know that seems excessive, but there's reasons. Okay, okay. So I think I'm going to throw down Swamp. Go with Sweet Spot 5 again. Sacrifice this Swamp here. That was interesting. But that won't go to a graveyard because of stuff. Yeah, I'm just gonna have co-rolled attack. Sacrifice the extra Swamp. That one got poofed. But yeah, if this thing dies, it will not go to the graveyard per se. It will seem like it at first, but then it will be gone. Because it counts when a token is sent to the graveyard, but they don't exist in the graveyard or your hand or your library or anywhere because, well, they just don't. Because that's the way tokens work. Guess I could sack another planes. Because I gotta kind of try to play the ability. Okay, I will sack this planes in my hand. And it's now officially time for GG. Yeah, it was an interesting game, because these always are, because they're... I finally got the forest! His ability to help me draw a card finally got me the forest. I wanted the sampler. I got it at the last moment. Like, seriously. Like, last moment forest. Okay, whatever. It was an interesting game. And I get one of the prizes being... And remember, with all these Friday Night Magic at Home events, you will get... once you complete it, at least 2 rare cards. They could be mythic rare. Now, the thing is, I've won this event in every last one that they've had in terms of Friday Night Magic at Home, except one. A week or so ago, they had a Cascade event that I missed because of my technical issues. So that's the only one I haven't won. Now, the funny thing is I can't seem to find a participating store near me that would do this whole promo pack thing, so that's kind of useless to know. Dungeon Geists. Okay, now, is that my first or not? Because there's, again, I don't fully trust that, because it seems the only time that it's saying it's your first card is correct is whenever it's from opening a pack. Okay, that's not my first, by, like, a long shot. I had to check that. In fact, that's my third. However, if you collect over 4 copies of a rare mythic rare card, it's instead converted into gems. So that's at least one way that you can actually get gems otherwise without having to use actual money. But for now, I'm going back into the event. So, assuming I still have time after this, I may have a little bit further news. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, see, the first time I was really loaded with planes. Now I've got pretty much an interesting mix between all these. So, and now I know that it doesn't seem to accept giving you an Ornithopter. Because it should be the only one with converted mana cost 0. Okay. That's interesting in and of itself. I do like this board for some of its interactables. And the thing is, I was also trying something a little different in terms of my sound. We both got life linkers off the bat. Seriously? That's kinda hilarious. So we're gonna kind of stare at each other here, aren't we? I'll sacrifice a mountain. Whoa! I got a Knight of Grace. Sweet. It's... Well, then when I saw that pop up, I'm like, which one did I get that had a form of hexproof? And it's Knight of Grace. I've got like both of those special opposing knights, by the way, or at least I think I have both of them. I have Knight of Grace and Knight of Malice. So that showing up randomly was just hilarious. Yeah, why not? I'll sacrifice an island. Okay. That was interesting to note. I'll kind of just hang out for a while. That could be a slight issue. Kind of. Okay, I will... See, I haven't put out an island yet. I do have a treasure token. Will I go for 5 now? I think I'll go for 5 now. Yeah, I'm... There goes my treasure token, and I'll toss out a spare forest. An auspicious Styrax. One other thing I just thought of, you can't really use the mutation ability in this format. Okay, let's see here. I think I'll put that plains over there and those two over there and see what happens. Because that was an interesting one. They got Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths. Okay, guess I'll be going with extra forest a bit here. And I'll sacrifice an extra island. Now that ability is interesting. Not gonna happen. Yeah, this is probably gonna be a race to get a special ability like flying would be good. Or something that would otherwise let you bypass them. Like if I got myself my nice gingerbread guy, it would be nice. Tossed it. That's one thing, our libraries are nothing but lands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, why not go all out? Well, actually, there is a reason for me to not go all out. It's called I have a special ability I can, in fact, activate. Let's go for that sweet spot, shall we? Oh. Got a Hellkite. That's gonna be interesting. Ooh. Do I want... I think I do want to attempt to attack a bit. Youch. Really? Okay. And yeah, I've got the Skargan Hellkite. And the thing about this style being so super random is it could be blurst to high-low hevel. Yes, I squished all those words together for a reason. Timsus the All-Seeing. Well, that's also a somewhat useless card in this format. I wouldn't say completely useless because, yay, Timsus does have flying. So she's okay with that. But, there's the other issue that her ability won't actually trigger. Okay, let's roast a few things, because this thing has a special ability I would like to activate. I'm going to burn you out. Thank you. I really wanted to do that. Do I want to... You know what? I think I'm going to do something special. I'm gonna activate this. Sack. Protection from blue. Can't be blocked. So therefore, there we go. It's only to end a turn, but it does mean I gotta bypass it. Thank you, Protection. It's an old school ability, and if you know how it works, you could really know how to use it. But I have seen people in this game that had no clue what Protection meant when I threw something down with it, and they did not handle it well. Like, there's some sub-rules with it, admittedly. Like, it protects what has it from being individually targeted, and it protects it from being damaged regardless from what it's protected from. Atali Primal Storm, that's going to be fascinating. Okay, so you've got first strike, so you can make an immediate kill here, so that doesn't happen again. You can take care of that. You can flatline this, and then they'll be open next turn. Okay, you see, this is where I'm wondering. Can I activate this ability twice? 1, 2, 3. I think I can activate this ability twice. Yeah, they realized I was going to vaporize that and then hit. I just wanted to make sure to get in another creature kill. It's one of my quests for right now. Can I help it if that's a quest? Of destroying a certain number of your opponent's creatures. No, I can't help it. That's just one of the things that they do. So I was trying to complete a quest, and they noped out in the middle of it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling it here. This card is a mythic rare. You can tell by the aura difference. Rare is gold. These are kind of reddish orange, almost extra stormy, like certain forms of sprite effects that happen above the clouds, with the power of reverse lightning. It's always associated with super lightning, actually. But enough of meteorological phenomena. Oh, yes! I was pondering spending a mythic rare on Prime Speaker Vanifar. Oh, gosh. Thank you, Momir, for giving me this card. Because I was wanting to use her as part of a collection of that I could kind of working at across different incarnations of the game, that I wanted to have copies of legendary oozes. Or at least oozes, period, because they're actually pretty rare cards. So, Prime Speaker Vanifar. Elf Ooze Wizard. Legend. Blue-green legend at that. 2/4. Special ability. Tapper, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. You can activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery, which basically means only on your turn. But she is basically the current leader of the Simic Guild. So, yeah. I got Prime Speaker Vanifar. Oh, I am very, very happy with this result. I mean, this is when I wish I had my dream camera right now and had it set up as a webcam. Because if I had that cool infrared camera I'd been pondering, then I'm wondering if my face would actually show any sign of temperature elevation at how happy I am. I would be extremely curious. So, yeah, because I swear I would light up like a Christmas tree for this. So, Prime Speaker Vanifar. I know that's my first, because I have been very carefully considering that. Just really considering that. So thank you very much for Prime Speaker Vanifar. So, one that I already had a couple copies of, which was Dungeon Geist, and one that I had been seriously tempted. Oh, that is a result just du jour. Okay. Now, there's something I'm going to go over. And let me see if I can get it to it here. Oh yeah, I need to also check out the previews. Is it gonna... No, it doesn't have it there. It doesn't have it. It doesn't have it there. Would it be under... Ooh. Nah, I don't think it's gonna be here, because I keep forgetting how they balanced MTG Arena compared to compared to Magic Duels in terms of like how they got their like rule sets for like tutoring you. I was very used to that. But anyhow, here's some news for you that can be summarized special. Instead of like limiting or banning any of the companions, even though that's like a really cool, powerful like ability slash creature set, and some people were a little concerned. I personally just love the dynamic, and I thought it was great to get back to crazy combos. But wow, I was almost halfway through that kill quest. Very interesting. So I might do something else for a while off camera and finish off that one. But anyhow, what I was going to say is they basically changed the companion rule itself. That if you fulfill, and let me go to, because it'll probably have the updated rules in here. Let's go to one of which I have a companion. Okay. Yeah, and that also shows off Vanifar pretty well. Okay. The companion rule used to be that they started, for the most part, in your sideboard, and that you could cast them once from outside the game directly as a regular casting. And then it was part of your deck regularly from then on, for whatever reason. Like, it could be countered during that instance, it could be sent back to your hand, to your deck, it could be killed, sent to the graveyard, they could be exiled, whatever. In other words, because the companions are all creatures, it was never really that overpowered in the first place compared with what some people were panicking about. So, I don't know what's up with this generation. Anyhow, the fact is, it was considered a really powerful ability. But it wasn't really when you thought of it from the venue of there's a lot of ways of dealing with and getting rid of creatures. Like, a lot, seriously. So it's not really that crazy just because they're creatures. Now, the thing is that they kind of changed the rule itself, rather than dealing with the other balances of the of the companions. And I thought that was an interesting move, and I can see it kind of weakening the ability overall, but still making it cool, because it's still like having like kind of like having a commander without having a commander, and it being a different style because they're not in their own zone like a commander is. And furthermore, you can, if you fulfill all the right circumstances, have both a companion and a commander. I have seen it happen before. I haven't really attempted to do it myself yet, but I have seen somebody who had both. So, yes, it can happen. But what they've done here, and you may notice that this is phrased way more than what I said, that the original rule was if you fulfill their condition for being for being a companion for that deck, then you could have cast them once from outside the game, which is usually in this basically your sideboard, where they're like a dedicated member of it. And then that's how you could handle that. But the big thing here is they changed the rule itself, and here's the rule change. If your starting deck meets the companion's restriction, you may choose it to be your companion. But here's the new part where that differs. Once per game, you may pay 3 generic mana. Any time you could cast a sorcery to put your chosen companion into your hand. That's a big difference, because previously they could be cast just as their own self and directly from your sideboard rather than your hand. See, this means that to be able to cast them on a given turn, you'd have to have 3 more mana than their own casting cost to be able to do it right then and there. And it's publicly revealed information regardless whenever you choose a companion. And if you put them into your hand, it would be automatically, like, in your hand and targetable by things that target your hand. So, for example, somebody can cause you to discard cards, or they can maybe even exile them directly from your hand, or have something else that targets it in that way. They can take it out before it's even cast. So, this is why the companion ability has been seriously nerfed in and of itself. It's still cool what it represents, because in the lore of Ikoria, there are various people referred to as bonders, and they have this beautiful connection with a non-human creature. And it's always between a human and a non-human. It's, at least in terms of the lore of Ikoria. In the future, they might expand that lore, but there's something special about humans and non-human creatures bonding in the way, and they call it the Eludha. But because in the lore of Magic the Gathering in general, players represent planeswalkers, then what the companion ability on a card represents is the ability of the player themselves as a planeswalker to bond with one of these creatures and have it ready to come to their aid when they need them. And it's just kind of a beautiful thing, the idea of you having this connection with this creature, because you can, like, fulfill conditions. Like, maybe you're like me and don't necessarily go with traditional designs for decks, and like doing a bigger deck than normal. You might resonate with a creature like Yorion. Because Yorion, his ability is specifically that you have to have at least 20 more cards than the minimum deck size. I do that all the time, because whenever I balance a couple colors or more, I tend to expand my deck. It's pretty rare for me to do only a 60-card deck, and very rare for me to do single color. I usually have a very specific purpose for that. I have designed a deck under those guidelines recently, but again, it's for a very specific purpose, and I might put that up in a video at some point as to what I'm doing with that. But I just, again, love this idea of you bonding with a creature for various reasons. And some of the deck rules are easier to fulfill than others, admittedly, for how you bond with them. But some of them is just things that they think of as starting as a disadvantage when you don't really, because I do tend to balance decks fairly well when they're large rather than small. That's a me thing, and I can see that being something not common. So the fact is, I just naturally bond with Yorion. So I practically, because I'd already had my decks designed as like around 80 cards or more, or a whole lot of my decks anyhow, I literally just, whenever I got Yorion, I just threw them into those decks as companions instantly without having to redesign a thing. It just suddenly, boink, there's Yorion. Thank you. So I've got this bird serpent floating around my decks now. So anything which has either white or blue mana suddenly has Yorion. But again, the rule has changed, that being the big news there. But also my thoughts on just the fact that I really appreciate this new beautiful concept of an ability. The idea of you bonding with a creature. Now, the thing is, one little detail of this is, you have to also know that all the companions so far, and possibly towards the future, kind of like they made certain rules about how planeswalkers would be handled, including the fact that they're all basically legendary. Well, that actually didn't used to be the case. They had like an alternate planeswalker rule for them for a while that acted as if it was the legend rule, but wasn't the legend rule. And they've phased that out in terms of just going with the legend rule. Like right now, I mean, the legend rule is so... It's been changed many times in and of itself, like seriously. But now they're just assuming that you know what the current rule is on legendaries. Uh, so it's not even got it listed here in the side information that describes what everything means. Uh, I think that's kind of a funny little oversight. I mean, it really should say this is a legendary permanent. You can only control one of them at a time that has its exact name. So, you know, they kind of changed a lot of stuff, but every last one of the companions is a legend. And I see that going from, like, now on, if they make more companions for other sets, or revisit Ikoria, maybe. Because it was a cool concept for a plane, and it's something I've really appreciated them doing, like the land of giant creatures and kaiju. Just all-out monstrous mayhem. I mean, it really does give you the impression that you're living in and playing a kaiju movie. So that is extremely awesome. And does that mean that they're not going to have companions in other planes? No. And here's my reasoning why. And it's kind of an interesting thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to deck straight here for a second and just kind of show you one little thing. They kind of clued that they were thinking of doing this in advance and treated it differently in the other case. But it's happened probably outside this plane before, unless he's actually from Ikoria. Because there is a planeswalker creature combo that we've already had. And let me... here we're going with it. I probably skipped over him because I think he's got less converted mana cost. Did I skip my example I was about to throw out? That would be kind of fun. Here. Yeah, I did. Zhang Yangu, the Wildcrafter. This guy is already bonded to a creature, and he was from a set before Ikoria, so you know they were thinking of this idea of forming bonds with various creatures. And Zhang Yangu, he's bonded with a special dog. A very special dog. And he had been for quite some time. And it even has, in the representation of said awesome dog, that they have been thinking specifically of companion being the way they filled this out. So they've been planning this in advance, at least to a degree. They may have been thinking of their early inspirations and then just expounded on it. But they had been thinking of something like this for a long time and finally perfected the idea of how it would actually, actually be played out. And there had been some other things like that where they'd had, like, moments where they had been thinking of something for a while and just had to readjust till they got it right. But here is his awesome dog, Mowu. And it even says, loyal companion. So, yeah. You know, they've been wanting to have, like, companion bonds for a while. And Zhang Yangu, he is a human planeswalker. And Mowu is a non-human creature he's bonded with. Specifically, a dog, aka hound. Now, you may notice that Mowu is a little different from your regular dog. He's got 3 tails. So he's a canine, but he's kind of like a kitsune, in that he has 3 tails, yet he's still considered a hound. And the thing is that he's kind of got some of those monstrous traits from the plane of Ikoria. And I don't know if he comes from Ikoria or not. I might have to look that up and see if this guy actually originally came from Ikoria. Him and his dog. Because his dog has the ability to gradually adjust himself over time. And kind of work kind of like how you grow creatures in Ikoria. But he's got Vigilance, Trample, but the big thing about him is that special ability is kind of interesting, because Ikoria has a big thing about counters. And his ability also deals with counters. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be placed on Mowu Loyal Companion, you put that many +1 on him instead. So he could easily grow twice as fast as normal if you're countering him up. So you're getting the idea that he has his size moods. So there's that. But the big thing is that whole situation of him being having a great companion, his companion being related to counters and size adjustment, and kind of, I guess you could say, a bit of specialized individual change, kind of resembles what happens with Ikoria. So they had been thinking this for a while, and when they premiered the companion ability, apparently it wasn't quite. I mean, it wasn't quite how they expected it to be played out, and you can kind of expect adjustments over time. So that was interesting in and of itself, that they decided to readjust the rule. Again, they've adjusted rules before. The absolute original Legend rule was that a player could only have one of a Legend with the name at a time, and if somebody else had it, they both were sent to the graveyard. That was the Legend rule at one point. There was like an earlier version where they couldn't even play the same card that was a Legend, by having them both sacrificed to the grave and then maybe bring yours back later before they can. And then they made it different now. Like, now you can each control the same legendary creature, but you can only control one of them at a time yourself. So they've adjusted rules all the time, and this is just part of that process. But it also shows they care about the rule, that they want this to be something long-term. So will they revisit it in the next couple of sets? Probably not. Will they come back to it again in the future? I'm pretty sure they will, because they cared enough about the rule to adjust the rule itself. They weren't thinking about just dealing with individual creature balance and stuff like that. That's kind of the easy approach that they've done with so many things before. But instead, they adjusted the rule, and that means they care about the rule, because they don't usually do that unless they really mean to have something that they really, really are treating with tender loving care, because they are passionate about the game that they make, and they want to make it experienced well by everybody. So that really shows some serious stuff has went down. So I'll be logging off for now. So that has been our Momir in our news. So a bit of Friday Night Magic some serious news about the companion role, as well as just my thoughts on it. But I'll be logging off for now. So long, everybody. Hope to hear from you all later, and bye for now, I guess.